You're tuned to Planet Vero Radio. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partners Show. We are broadcast on 101.7 FM Real Radio WCZR, and we are also podcast on Spreaker. Now here she is, my co-host Jeannie Roller. We're talking today about why is the OR so cold. Geez, Jeannie, I mean, I have personal experience with it and wound up in hypothermia and, with them trying to raise my temperature. And my instance was I was naked from two seconds after I got into the OR until they wheeled me out, except for maybe the sterile drapes that they put on me and circled the place that they were going to work on. So I don't get it. And all the information says you're going to have warm blankets from our warming drawers and on and on and on. And that didn't happen in my case. And I know it didn't happen in your husband's case. So we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping today, I call it, saying why are these things happening? And, is it for supply and demand? That's the instance that I kind of got. I don't think it's for sterility. I don't really know what it's for, why everybody's stripped naked and all this stuff's going on. Go ahead, Jeannie.
Well, I'm referring to an article written by Dr. Max Feinstein. He is an anesthesiologist. It appeared in MedPage in February 16th of this year. And he says, why are OR so cold? It's not what you think. He says that they're cold because it is for the staff's comfort and for the machines, because the machines run hot. So the patients, it's not to protect you against germs, because everyone thinks, well, germs grow when it's warm. And so if you're cold, the germs won't grow. That's not why they're kept cold. But he goes on to say that, for a patient to be cold is very dangerous. It can cause a host of things, including infection. It can cause a slower recovery time. It can cause a whole lot of problems. And he says, well, no, but they keep you warm while you're in the OR, which we both know, Cindy, that is not always the truth. You weren't warm. No. My husband remembers shivering violently, and even his one temperature that they took, because I guess they didn't want to record that he was cold, and this temperature was taken hours later, was way below normal. So if it was still way below normal hours later, then you can guess that it was even more so during the time. But what he goes on not to say is that when you get into pre-op, you are stripped naked in pre-op. You are then covered with that light drape during the procedure. And once that procedure is over, then you're stripped naked again. So there is a lot of time where you are not covered, that you are not kept warm. And he was talking about the bear hugger that they use those. Well, my husband didn't have that. I don't believe you had that.
No, I didn't. I didn't have it at all. No.
So what is happening is people are getting colder. They should be. The drugs they put in your IVs, they are stored in the fridge, so they are cold. Sometimes they're warm, but a lot of times those drugs are cold. So you're going to be cold from the outside temperature of the OR, and they're going to make you cold from the inside by shooting in cold drugs. And also, when your breathing rate and everything like that decreases, then guess what? So does your ability to naturally warm yourself. So, I mean, it's just a whole host of problems that I don't think this guy covered very well. And the thing that I really take issue with in this is he is an anesthesiologist. He knows that during pre-op and post-op that the patient most likely is not covered because, for one thing, they're sterilizing the surgery area, so they strip you naked. It's easier for them to do. So you're stripped naked during that time. Then post-op, they strip you again, because then they have to clean all that stuff up and the blood and whatever, the stitching. So you're stripped naked again. And he does not address this. And this makes me so upset, because people don't realize that this kind of stuff is happening.
Well, I'm going to interject here and say, I get all of that if it happens for a minute or how long, okay, I can hear the Orlando hospital telling me, which is where I was when I went back and told them what I saw my stuff happening. It wasn't like I was out. I mean, was I awake for the whole operation? No, I wasn't. But I mean, I saw a good part of the stuff that they did. And I can hear people saying, well, you're only, totally naked for 35 or 45 seconds. In my case, that wasn't true. I was naked from 30 seconds after I went into the pre-op and then into the the actual operation. And then when they woke me up, which is when you're talking about, Jeannie, and the anesthesiologist is talking about when they take the bloody whatever, the draping stuff off, which is paper. It's not like it's a bear rug. They call it a bear hugger, BAIR hugger. I mean, as far as I know, they didn't use it on me. And it's a long time. It's not 45 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever, because that's what the Orlando hospital argued with me. And I said, yeah, I saw it. They wouldn't even put anything on me until I moved myself from the OR table myself. I mean, they didn't move me. They slapped me around and got me up and said, you move yourself over to this gurney, and then we'll give you a gown and cover you up. I mean, that's what they told me verbatim. I was just mortified, freezing to death, and I couldn't even comprehend what they were asking me to do. Why they have patients do that is beyond me, because I couldn't do it fast enough because I was out. Yeah. Trying to
my husband laid there.
Yeah, that's what I did. And she kept hitting my back. Get yourself over. She kept screaming at me. And I'm like, why didn't they just pick me up in the sheet and move me over? But they didn't.
Well, his was 45 minutes, around 45 minutes.
Yeah. So, and you're there naked.
He was naked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy says, the priority is to keep the staff and the machines cool, and the patient should be kept warm. Mm-hmm. But he's really not addressing the real problems. Yes, they're keeping the staff cool and the equipment cool, but they are not keeping patients warm.
On paper, they are. When all of the paper they are. They are. I mean, that's what I'm going to, from my own personal experience. I get it, to keep the machines cool, because I work with the technology machines all day long. I'm surrounded by it right now, and the room has to be cooler. Okay, so then you wear a sweater. I have a sweater on. Well, the patient doesn't have a sweater on. And I was there myself naked for a while. It wasn't 35 seconds. And mine was, I went into hypothermia, and then they brought out, I don't know what it is, but they surrounded me with, what do they call it, the foil blanket, and they were shooting hot air on me. I mean, to try to bring me back around while I was throwing up on the floor and shaking and, whatever. So I saw it all, Jeannie. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what happened to my husband. I mean, he couldn't get warm for days, it seemed like, and he was throwing up.
Yeah, that's what I was.
They just, which our next podcast will kind of talk about that they deny this stuff happens.
Well, that's the thing that's so disturbing. And we've had on how many people that have said basically the same thing has happened to them. You strip naked. I mean, some of the people have had a half a gown on or whatever, but we've all seen those hospital gowns. How much are they really going to keep you warm? I mean, you really do need warmed blankets and to be kept with warm blankets. And the other thing that I'm going to say is, when you are literally kept in the dark as far as information or any of the staff talking with you or interacting with you, that changes your whole mindset too, because you then are just an object. No one is even telling you what's going on. And so your mind, I don't care who you are, you're already afraid to be there. I mean, probably maybe I'm going to say 10%, but I don't even think it's that much, would be that much. Amount of people aren't afraid to be in that. So you're already compromised that way. And then to be subjected to this other kind of stuff is just, to me, it's just torture and abuse. It really is. And there's no way that people should go through this at all. And that heightens your body's ability to even save yourself, if you will. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a matter of trust. If
totally,
as I said, this anesthesiologist, he didn't give all the facts. It makes people think that something happens that really doesn't happen to me. Yeah. It's not this fairy tale story that he was putting out here.
So on that note, that it's not a fairy tale when you have surgery, I'm going to say thank you for listening to Planet Vero Radio, and please stay tuned.